Hello. Let's get started on our yoga routine. First, I would like to take a moment to show you some of the props that I like to have handy. A canvas strap is always the most important for me, personally. A couple different sizes of yoga blocks, a couple different sizes of pillows, and at least one bolster. I love to have 2 different sizes of bolsters as well. The supports are used to allow a maximum relaxation in a restorative practice. Also, the blocks can be utilized to essentially bring the floor closer to you. We'll start in Savasana, corpse pose, setting our intentions for today's practice. Focus on what you want to bring into your life and what it is you're needing to let go of in order to create space for that to occur. Relax into your Savasana while setting your intentions. Continue to remain in Savasana while intentionally allowing yourself to let go of all of your worries and all of your concerns. Let go of your stress from the day, the week, the month, and the entire year. Give yourself permission to be stress-free. Just let it go. If you're holding some tightness in your jaw, anywhere in your body, try to just let it go. It can be like peeling an onion, layer after layer. And then slowly rotate your head to the right. Take a deep breath. And then back to neutral. Then to the left side for another deep breath. And then back to neutral. Stretching out long, reaching your hands overhead, pointing your toes, rotating your ankles, and then hug in your right knee. You can engage the foot, flex your heel, rotate the ankle, point your toes. Continue hugging that knee, paying close attention to the micro movements and the compression in your right hip socket. And then you can reach for your strap, getting the canvas to go across the ball of your right foot, before then straightening out your leg, keeping the knee bent slightly if you wish. Maybe pull that leg slightly closer to your chest, and then hold there momentarily, before then swinging the leg out to the right while continuing to hold that strap for a half straddle. This is a big stretch. We're going to hold this for a couple of deep breaths. And then release and set your strap aside while lowering your right leg back down to the mat. Hands overhead again, stretching out long, pointing the toes, rotating your ankles, maybe your wrists too, before then hugging in your left knee And again, you can engage the foot and ankle by flexing and pointing your toes, rotating the ankle, continuing to hug the left knee tightly. Again, paying attention to the micro movements and focusing on the compression in your left hip socket. And then pick up your strap and place the canvas across the ball of your left foot, straightening out the leg. And again, you can have that slight bend in the knee. Hold it there. You might want to pull the leg just a little closer to your chest before then swinging the left leg out to the left with your strap for the half straddle on the other side. Again, this is a very big stretch. We're going to hold for several breaths. And then set that strap aside while lowering your leg back down to the mat. Both legs out straight, stretching out long, arms up overhead, and hug both knees tightly. Continue to hold your right knee while lowering the left leg back down to the mat. Hold there for several breaths. And then place the right knee onto the floor or bolster across your body for the supine twist. Arms are in a T. Keeping your drishti out over your right fingertips. You have the option to use your left hand to apply a light pressure to your right knee if you wish. Just enjoy this stretch while focusing on the release in the small of your back. And then slowly turn your head to look over the left shoulder. Take a deep breath. Turning the head and neck back to neutral. And then back to be looking over your right fingertips again. And then head and neck back to neutral. Lower that right leg back down to the mat. Hug in both of your knees together. Head and neck towards the knees, rocking and rolling. And then lowering your right leg down to the mat while continuing to hug your left knee. Hold that. And then slowly move the left knee across your body to place it on the floor or bolster on your right side for the supine twist. On the other side, arms are still in a T. Your drishti is out over your left fingertips. Enjoy this release. You can apply that light pressure with your right hand to the left knee at any point. Just continue to relax into this twist. And then slowly turn your head to be looking out over your right fingertips. And then back to neutral. And back to be looking out over your left fingertips. And then bring it back to neutral. Lower the left leg back down to the mat. Coming out of this twist, stretch your arms out long overhead. And again, hug both knees, stretching your neck. Try to touch your forehead to your knees. You can rotate your ankles, engage the feet, flex your heels, point your toes. And now we're going to get into the reclined butterfly. You might want to utilize props under your knees or thighs. Your arms are down by your sides, hands are facing up. Surrender to your practice. I like to call this prayer feet. And then you can glide your arms out wide to the sides across the floor, arching them overhead in a half moon to steeple grip. Hold that. Then glide your arms back out to the sides and down like butterfly wings. Hands or palms are facing up. Slowly stretching your arms out to the sides again and bringing them back up in that half moon arch once more. Touching the fingertips to each other in steeple grip or prayer hands overhead. You can remove any of the props that you might be using before we're going to get into the reclined tree pose. First, you can straighten out your left leg while placing the sole of your right foot against the inseam of your left thigh as high as you can. Hands are still overhead in prayer hands, steeple grip or yogi's choice. Hold for several breaths. And then simply switch sides by first straightening out your right leg and then placing the sole of your left foot high to the inseam of your right thigh. Arms can still be in prayer hands overhead or branching your arms out, goalpost arms, steeple grip, however you're most comfortable. And then reach for your strap, getting it to go across the balls of both of your feet for legs up the wall. Your knees can be straightened or bent slightly. You can pedal your knees, walk it out. You can rock, you can wiggle, anything you wish. Continue to keep your left foot in the strap, keeping the canvas on the ball of your foot while you remove your right foot and place that right ankle across your left thigh for reclined pigeon. Holding that there, you can bend your left knee slightly, or you can keep it straightened, or some of each, straightening and bending. And then we're going to switch the feet out, getting your right foot back into the strap, removing your left foot, placing that foot across your thigh for the reclining pigeon on the other side. Enjoy the stretch. And again, you have an option to bend your knee slightly, straighten it, or some of each. And then we're going to lay flat for 3 honey bumblebee breaths. You can set the strap aside, fingers go on your closed eyes, your thumbs on your ear cartilage, pressing your thumbs down on that tragus, closing off the airway into your ears, breathing in through your nose and out through the nose. We're going to hum low pitch 3 times on the exhale. And after that, you can get ready to turn yourself over, slowly turning onto your left or right side, and then carefully turning yourself all the way over to lay prone on your front side. You can rest your forehead on your hands, laying them on top of one another. Prepare for another twist. Focus on your breath. You're going to come up onto your elbows and forearms into the Sphinx. And then hike up your right knee out to your right side with your right arm stretched out in front of yourself. With your left arm, you can thread the needle, making any adjustments for this pose that you need to as you get into the supine twist once again. And again, you might want to use a bolster or a prop to support your knee. You can straighten out both of your arms, try to lay your shoulders flat on the ground, arms in a T. At any point, you can use your left hand to apply the slight pressure to your right knee. Keeping your gaze out over your right shoulder, looking out towards your right fingertips. Feel the difference from the last supine twist, having gotten into the pose from an entirely different sequence of prompts and directives. Also notice the similarities along with those differences. Relax into it. When you're ready to come out of this twist, you can rest your forehead on your hands, again laying them on top of each other for several breaths. And then bend your knees, lifting your feet into the air, and windshield wiper the feet and calves back and forth from side to side. Then slow it down before lowering your feet back down to the mat. And then come back up onto your forearms and elbows and hands into the Sphinx pose again. Hike your left knee up to your left side. With your left arm out in front of you, thread your right arm through the needle, shifting into the supine twist again. Same as the other side, you can adjust yourself so that both shoulders and arms are flat on the ground in a T. And again, you have the option to apply a light pressure with the right hand on your left knee, keeping your drishti out over your left shoulder. Relax into this twist while again taking note of any similarities and differences from the first supine twist, and even just from the other side. When you're done, unwind, and then rest your head back on your hands again. This time in an exaggerated motion, really windshield wiper those feet and knees, loosening out the hips too. And then lower your feet back down to the ground and send your hips back towards your feet, getting into a wide knee child's pose. You can use a block, a bolster, or a pillow to support your head or your torso on. We're gonna hold this position, ragdolling the upper portion of your body. Allow gravity to do the work for you. Really lean into it. Relax the torso. And you can come up into a tabletop before then lowering yourself back down into Sphinx on your elbows and forearms again. This time spreading your hands and your fingers out as wide as you can, holding that Sphinx pose tall before then turning your right forearm to be parallel with the top of your mat. Reach back with your left hand for your left foot and hold this half bow for several breaths. You can take a minute here to attempt the full bow, getting each of your feet into each of your hands. If it's in your practice, you might want to use your strap to get your feet into your hands, or whatever it is that you need to do to support yourself to get into the full bow shape, if it's in your practice. If it's too much, just do whatever modification you're comfortable with, knowing that your level of flexibility can vary from day to day. You can use your breath and diaphragm to rock yourself lightly, or you can remain still, or some of each. And then let go of your feet and rest your head on your hands again, one hand on top of the other, windshield wipering your feet again, loosening out those hips. And then slowing it down, lower your feet back down to the mat. And the same thing on the other side, coming back into Sphinx, stretching your hands and your fingers out as wide as you can, sitting up tall, before then turning the left forearm to be parallel with the top of your mat, and reaching back with your right hand to hold your right foot, engaging in this half bow for several breaths. And then just like on the other side, you can attempt the full bow if it's in your practice, using your strap, having someone spot you, whatever it is that you need to support yourself into this challenge of full bow, or whatever modification suits you. And again, you can use your breath and your diaphragm to rock yourself lightly back and forth, or you can try to remain still, or a little bit of both. And when letting go of your feet, lower them back down to the mat. And again, send your hips back to be sitting on your feet in child's pose. This time in a regular child pose with your knees touching. While sitting on your feet, you can rest your forehead on a block. We're going to be here for a prolonged period. You can walk or slide your hands and fingers to the right edge of the mat, reaching for the upper right corner of the mat, feeling that stretch across your lower left ribs. And then hands and fingers back to neutral, sliding or rocking your hands and fingers to the left edge of the mat, reaching towards the upper left corner, focusing on the extension in the lower right ribs. And then glide or walk your hands and fingers back to neutral. Lean into it. Just relax into the child pose. And then slowly you can push your torso up, pressing your hands on the mat. Coming up into a hero's pose. Pause here. You might want a block or a prop under your bum. You can place your hands lightly on your thighs. Remain still and take notice of the challenges of this seemingly easy, simple pose. And then you can get your hands into prayer hands over your heart and slowly rise your prayer hands overhead. Then lower them back down, placing your hands back onto your thighs. And then come up onto your knees into a widened stance. Open your arms out wide, like butterfly wings up and out, reaching your hands behind you, clasping your fingers into a basket weave behind yourself. Get those hands and fingers into a bind before then exploring the limits of your flexibility with that. You might want to push your arms up slightly behind yourself, leaning back slightly. You might want to bend forward with your forehead on the floor, lowering your arms towards the floor overhead. If you are, then come back up carefully, shaking out your hands and your arms. I like to grab a bolster at this point and place it on the back of my calves and ankles. Before then, stretching the arms up and out wide again, like butterfly wings again. And then getting into the camel pose. Leaning back slightly, arching your torso. You can reach for that bolster if you have one there. If you're very flexible, you can reach for your ankles, or you can use yoga blocks here, whatever works for you. Just explore this chest opener. Focus on your breath. And then as you come out of this shape, you can sit back onto your feet into the hero's pose once again, laying your hands on your thighs and focusing on your breath. And when you're ready, swing your legs out around in front of yourself for staff pose. You can stack pillows and props on top of your thighs, piling up the props so that you can ragdoll your upper body over your legs, resting the full weight of your torso on the pillows. Alternatively, you can use a strap on the balls of your feet for the same type of effect here. We're going to relax into this for an extended period. Really lean into it. Envision tilting your hips towards your feet, towards your toes. And again, allow gravity to do the work for you. Focus on easing your weight forward, trusting the gravitational pull to completely support you. When we're done, we'll remove the props and set them aside. Get your left leg stretched out long and bring the right foot up high to the inseam of your left thigh. Reaching for your left toes in a side bend. Breathe into this stretch. Focus on relaxing into it. Don't fight the gravity. Allow it to do its work. Then you can come up into neutral and get into a wide straddle stretch. You might want to have blocks out in front of you as you lean forward for a couple of deep, intentional breaths. slowly transitioning, switching out to the other side. Place your left foot to the inner right thigh and reach for those right toes in the side bend. Left hand is over the right hand and foot. Focus on your breath, and again, trust gravity to work its magic, supporting you and keeping you safe. And then come back up into neutral, stretching both legs out wide. With the straddle, leaning forward, reach out in front of yourself, maybe resting your forearms and forehead onto a couple of blocks. Focus on leaning your weight forward. If you have your forehead on a block, allow the weight of your head to be fully supported by the prop. And then you can come into a seated butterfly, holding the soles of your feet together with both of your hands, allowing your knees to fall open, going towards the floor, sitting up tall, and then mindfully bending your head and neck towards your feet, as far towards the floor as you can, before then gently rising your head slowly up to neutral, imagining that there's a string above your head, pulling it straight up in perfect posture. And then twist your head from side to side, first to the right, and then neutral, and then to the left, and back to neutral. Now stretch your neck down, rolling it out in small movements at first. You can turn your head back and forth like you're indicating a no. You can stretch your head and neck diagonally, bending from side to side. If you want to move your head up and down as if you're acknowledging a yes. If it's in your practice, you can do a full circle rotation in one direction and then a full circle rotation in the other direction. Before then bringing your head back to neutral, shifting into the easy pose. Touch down to the ground with your left fingertips. Drop your right ear towards your right shoulder. You have an option here to use a light pressure with your right fingertips on top of your skull. And if you want, you can move the head and neck slightly back and forth to gently massage out your neck muscles. Then head and neck back to neutral. Reaching with your right fingers down to the ground while dropping your left ear to your left shoulder. And again with that slight pressure with the left fingertips, if you wish, applying that light pressure to your skull. And if you want to move your head and neck slightly back and forth, massaging out those muscles, and then back to neutral. Again, turn your head slowly from side to side, gently to the right. Hold. Back to neutral. And then slowly to the left. Pausing before coming back to neutral. And now we're going to bring ourselves into that wide straddle once again, leaning forward, You may want to use the blocks in front of yourself to rest your forehead and forearms on again. We're going to be in this stretch for an extended period. Focusing on your breath. If you have your forehead on a block, just allow the whole weight of your head to be supported by that block. And then you can pick a block up into each of your hands. Reaching over your left foot, place those blocks on either side of the foot. You can rest your hands on the blocks, or you can reach for your toes, allowing gravity to assist you in your efforts, making this side stretch as simple and effort-free as possible. And then pick up those blocks, place them out in front of yourself, leaning forward momentarily, before then picking the blocks back up to place them on either side of the right foot. And you can reach for your toes, or you can rest your hands on the blocks. Breathe deep and allow gravity to work its magic. Then come back to neutral, set your blocks aside, and our next pose will be bending our right knee over the left leg extended out straight, twisting to the right, gazing towards the back of the room. Right hand or fist is on the floor behind yourself, your arm supporting your torso. Using your left elbow to leverage on the right knee, rest your drishti back as far as you can. And then slowly turn your head and neck to be gazing out towards the front of the room. And again, slowly returning your gaze to the back of the room. All while continuing to leverage that left elbow on the right knee and continuing to hold for several breaths. And then coming out of the twist, we'll simply switch sides, bending the left knee over the right leg extending out straight. Left hand or fist is on the floor behind yourself, gazing out over your left shoulder towards the back of the room, leveraging with your right arm against the left knee. And then slowly turn your head and gaze to be looking out over your right shoulder towards the front of the room. And then slowly returning your drishti to be looking back over your left shoulder towards the back of the room. Continue leveraging that right elbow on the left knee. And then back to neutral. Next, hold the soles of your feet together, getting into the butterfly pose once again. Pressing the knees towards the floor, sitting up tall. And then slowly and carefully bending your head and neck towards your feet. Before then, again, imagining that string being pulled up from above, from the top of your head. Gently turning your head to the right. Slowly back to neutral. Then carefully to the left. And then back to neutral. And now we're going to get our legs into cow face and then Lord of the Fish. First, we'll bend the right knee over the left knee that's also bent, stacking them on top of one another for cow face. Holding each of your feet in each of your hands, you can use your thumbs to press into the arches of your feet, giving yourself a nice, gentle foot massage, if you like, while sitting up tall. And then turn all the way to the right. Right arm is behind yourself. Left elbow is leveraging against the right knee. Looking towards the back of the room. Appreciate the power of this twist. And then slowly you can turn your head to the opposite side. Carefully over your left shoulder and then back again to be looking over your right shoulder and then back to neutral. And now you can straighten out both legs in front of yourself for a staff pose. Reaching your arms out wide to the sides and then arching them overhead in a half moon towards the sky. Interlacing your fingers, binding your hands, turning your wrists outward, reaching up as tall as you can, before slowly bending forward, reaching for your toes. Noticing any tightness in your back, loosening, before then coming back up to neutral. And now prepare to switch legs for cow face on the other side. Your left knee goes over your right bent knee, stacking them on top of each other and holding your feet with each of your hands. And again, you can massage your thumbs into the arches of each foot for a moment. Before then twisting to the left. Your left arm's behind you, your right arm is leveraging against the left knee. Looking out over your left shoulder to the back of the room. And then slowly turning your gaze to be looking out over your right shoulder towards the front of the room. And slowly moving your head and your drishti to be looking over your left shoulder towards the back of the room once again. And then head and neck back to neutral. Come out of this twist, returning to the staff pose, reaching your arms out wide again, legs out in front of yourself. Making that half moon arch again, touching hands overhead for steeple grip, reaching tall, before then leaning forward, holding your toes, and noticing again if you have any more tension in your back than you did just a minute ago in this same stretch. And then come back up to neutral. Transition into easy pose. Spread your arms out wide to the sides and then up for the half moon arch, touching your prayer hands together before then getting into cactus arms, and eagle arms. Your right elbow over your left elbow, hands together, pushing your elbows up slightly and bending your head and neck down slightly. You do have an option if you would like to slowly look up as high as possible, leaning your head back while pushing your eagle arms towards the sky. And if you do that, your arms will naturally unpretzel. Or if you're not doing that, you can just unpretzel your arms and reach your hands and arms out wide to the sides. Touch your hands down to the ground before then arching the arms up into another half moon, touching your hands overhead, and then back to cactus, and again into the eagle arms with the left elbow over the right elbow, pushing the elbows up slightly, leaning the head and neck down slightly. And again, you do have that option if you'd like to look up and bend your head and neck back while pushing your arms and elbows up as they unpretzel, or simply just stretching your arms out wide to the sides and then touching the ground before then reaching back out wide and bringing the palms together in one more half moon arch to steeple grip, sitting tall. And then we're going to do a simple twist to each side. As you lower your arms down, your right hand can go behind yourself, left hand on your right knee, and then lift your right arm straight up high overhead to cross over the left arm, reaching the left knee with the right hand. The left hand then goes onto the floor behind yourself, and then you can raise that left arm straight up high, reaching it over the right arm to hold your right knee before then coming back to neutral and hugging your knees in lightly in this basket shape. And then you have an opportunity here to get into the boat pose. I like to hold my hands under my thighs first for a modified boat pose, before then holding my arms out straight parallel to the ground for a more classic boat pose. And if you want a little bit of an extra workout for your core strength, you might want to scissor your legs for a moment. Before then laying down on your back, stretching out long. Before planting both feet on the floor, knees bent, you might want to grab a couple of blocks to put one between your knees, maybe one on each side of yourself, and then allow your knees to simply fall to the right. Arms are in a T, focusing your gaze out over your left fingertips. Just relax into this nice simple twist. And then slowly rotate your head to look out the other direction over your right fingertips. And then back again, looking over your left fingertips. Before then bringing your head and neck back to neutral, knees to neutral, and then allow the knees to simply fall to the left. Arms are still in a T, gazing out over your right fingertips. And then slowly turn your head to look out over your left fingertips. Slowly rotating your head and neck to be looking back out over your right fingertips. And then slowly back to neutral. Knees back to neutral. Remove any props and hug in both of your knees, bending your head and neck towards your knees, engaging the feet, flexing your heels, pointing your toes, rotating the ankles. Before then, planting both feet firmly on the mat once again. You can kick your right leg straight up high, crossing your right knee over your left knee. And then allow the legs to simply fall to the right. Arms are still in that T, gazing out over your left fingertips. This is my favorite twist of all, the grand finale. Then bring your knees to neutral, your head to neutral. Hug your knees to your chest, rocking and rolling. Before firmly planting both feet back onto the mat again for the other side. Kick your left leg up straight as high as you can to cross your left knee over your right knee. Allow the legs to fall to the left. Arms are still in a T with your gaze out over your right fingertips. Enjoy this final twist. Then you can hug in both of your knees as you come out of this. One more time, rocking and rolling. And then if you'd like to, you have an option here for the happy baby. Getting your feet into each of your hands. You can rock the baby, maybe alternating, straightening and slightly bending one knee at a time. And as you come out of the happy baby, then lay flat, reaching up long and tall. Before then, reaching for a block for supported bridge. Plant both feet firmly on the mat. Lift your hips and slide a block under the small of your back on its lowest level. Relax into the supported bridge. And then while still on the block, you can reach for your canvas strap, getting it to go across the balls of both feet, and we'll do legs up the wall for another minute. You can walk it out, you can pedal out your knees, or you can do the legs up the wall without the strap if you'd rather. When you're done, you can set the strap to the side and remove the block. If it's in your practice, there's an option here for shoulder stand and the plow. You can take a minute or two to do these, or yogi's choice, any stretch that you would like. Or you can feel free to get into the Savasana early and we'll meet you there. Should you be in a shoulder stand, you might want to point your toes tall. You might want to scissor your legs long, or any movements at all that you're inclined to do, before then transitioning into the plow. And then when coming out of the plow, slow and controlled with your chin tucked, try to release one vertebrae at a time, rolling yourself back down onto the mat. And then release yourself, relaxing into your Savasana. Remember the intentions that you set at the beginning of your practice. Give thanks to yourself for taking the time out of your day to focus on your well-being. As we bring our awareness back into the room and back into our bodies, you can either roll to one side or the other, resting there. Or if it's comfortable for you, you have an option with your chin slightly tucked to come up onto both of your elbows, slightly rocking yourself, straightening your arms out behind you, pushing yourself up to transition into easy pose. Or if you're laying on your side, this is where you'd push yourself up and transition into that easy pose. I like to grab a block to place behind me with my right hand, then placing the left hand on the right knee, that right hand on the floor or on the block behind you, lightly twisting to the right. Before lifting your right arm up straight, high overhead, crossing the right arm over the left, the right hand onto the left knee, and then reaching the left hand behind you onto the block again, if you like, for that light twist. And then raising that left arm up straight overhead to cross it over the right arm, and grabbing the right knee with the left hand, before then lightly hugging yourself into the basket shape again. Before then hugging yourself in as tightly as you can, making yourself into as small of a ball or a seed as you are able to, constricting yourself to take up as little space as possible. Before then releasing and stretching your arms out wide to the sides into a star shape. And then placing each hand onto each of your knees, touching your pointer fingers to your thumbs, breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. We're going to chant Om 3 times in a low pitch on the exhale. And then stretching your arms out wide again for the half moon arch. Bring the arms up overhead into prayer hands. And to acknowledge your insight and wisdom, touch your thumbs or your knuckles lightly to your third eye on the way to hands over heart. Then reaching the arms out wide. Once more for one last half moon arch, prayer hands overhead. Slowly then lowering your prayer hands for hands over heart, to then bow and close and seal the practice. And so it is. Thank you for practicing yoga with me today. Be well and enjoy a very blessed rest of your day.